Has anyone else noticed lately the high selling prices for vintage baseball cards on eBay? How about prices that are not just high, but so over the top that you can't help but shake your head and wonder, what is going on with the hobby? Let's take a look at some examples of completed auction sales on eBay within the last few months. The first is this 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Ever since Beckett named it as the #1 card of the 1980s, the price of a PSA 10 card went from averaging $393 a sale to well over $400 and above. Check out this one that sold for $600 in January 2019. That is more than 50% over the price it was averaging for the entire year of 2018. It doesn't seem to be an outlier. There are 6 others that were going right at that $500 mark. Next, we have this 1968 bench rookie in a PSA 8 that sold for $900 in January. In all of 2018, bench rookies in a PSA 8 sold for an average of $577. This card has great eye appeal, but does that completely explain why it sold for 57% more than the average sale price? Here's a 1956 Hank Aaron in a PSA 7 that sold for $711 recently. That's 58% higher than what the average card was going for in 2018. Let's look at this 1971 Munson in a PSA 7 for $510. That's 89% over what the card averaged in 2018. I bought one 6 months ago. I paid $216 for it. Can you tell which card cost $300 more than the other? The next couple of cards are of Hank Aaron. This 1957 Aaron in a PSA 7 sold less than 2 weeks ago for $809. It normally sells around the $425 range, 92% less than this one went for. Here's a 1955 Aaron in a 6 that sold for $871.35. That was 203% more than the average price of a 2018 sale, and that's for a 6, double the average price. The last graded card I have is this 1969 Reggie Jackson rookie in a 7. The average price in 2018 of a PSA 7 Jackson rookie was $463. Of course, you would expect this card to go higher because it's so well centered. If you were bidding on it, would you expect it to sell for $969? 209% over that average? I wasn't. Let's talk about raw cards now. This is the card that first made me notice this incredible upward spike in prices. In 1970, Frank Robinson that sold for $92 prior to his death. You can buy an already graded PSA 8 for less than $70. Is this card higher than an 8? Look at the top to bottom centering. This 1970 Reggie Jackson sold for $392.77 this month. Almost $400 for a raw card. I also own a 1970 Jackson. I bought mine in a PSA 8 a couple months ago for $150. Do you think this raw card would grade higher than an 8? Now I've got a 1973 Clemente that sold for $455.09 around the first of the year. If you look online, you can find already graded PSA 9 examples for $500. I guess the high bidder is betting that this card is at a minimum a 9 or maybe even a 10. How can they tell from an online picture? Here's some big love shown for the junk wax era. A 1984 Don Mattingly rookie card for $455. Let that sink in. $455 for a raw Donruss card of a non-Hall of Fame player. I think that Beckett article must have had some impact on this card too. Whoever bought this card is one hell of a gambler. You can buy a PSA 9 for less than $100, so the high bidder must be certain this card is a 10. If he's right, he got a great deal. I haven't talked about Nolan Ryan yet. Here's a decent-looking 1971 card that sold for $567.77 in January 2019. That's well over what PSA 8 cards sell for. Looking at that top left corner, as well as the others, do you think this card would really grade an 8? Let's stay in 1971 for a Carl Yastrzemski card that sold in December 2018. $504.99 for a raw card made me take notice. PSA 8s of this card sell regularly for about $100. It's a good-looking card, but look closer at the centering and the corners. How do you think PSA might grade this one? Almost $700 is what someone paid for this raw 1969 Reggie rookie a few weeks ago. This card looks like a clone of so many of the cards I see on eBay. PSA 7 examples that are off-center, selling for $500 or less every week of the year. I want to wrap up with some madness for high-number common players. In December 2018, This Willie Davis card went for $237.06. Over $200. Here's a PSA 7 example that recently sold for only $27. The cornering and the edges actually look better on the graded card. The centering looks about the same. What would possess someone to pay almost 9 times more for a card? One of the things you always read online are accusations that big auction companies use shill bidders to drive up prices. And this has certainly happened before. Just look up Bill Mastro. Did that happen here? If you look at the bidding history, it just seems like an old-fashioned bidding war between two collectors. The guy who initially bid the card up dropped out at $100. Then the other two guys took over. All of these bidders have a lot of positive feedback. Would a shill bidder have an almost 10,000 feedback count? I doubt it, but I'm not an expert on these things. I'll close with one last card. $360 for a raw 1966 Choo Choo Coleman. Yes, I know, it's a high number, short print. But is it worth Hall of Fame money? Again, someone could have just bought a PSA 9 example for much less. There's a lot more examples out there, but these are the ones that really stood out to me. How do you explain these crazy prices? I have a few theories, but I'm curious what you think. Leave a comment below. And collect what you love, but don't overpay.